Good morning, Little Masters, and welcome back to today's Tolkien Times, a Prancing Pony podcast production. I'm the Man of the West, and we're going to continue doing what we've been doing since week 50 here on Third Age Thursdays, and that's looking at the poetry and songs from The Lord of the Rings. Now, last week we said farewell to the Rohirrim with the Song of the Mounds of Munburg, and now it's time to look at two very different verses. No more alliteration, sadly. Instead, we start with a poem dismissed as an old wives' tale, as a doggerel by the herb master of the Houses of Healing in Minas Tirith, or the herb master, as some of my friends might say. Now, when the injured Faramir was lying in the Houses of Healing, hardly breathing, Aragorn was able to diagnose the problem. Weariness, grief for his father's mood, a wound, and over all, the black breath, said Aragorn. He is a man of staunch will, for already he had come close into the shadow before ever he rode to battle on the outwalls. Slowly the dark must have crept on him, even as he fought and strove to hold his outpost. Okay, problem diagnosed, but what would solve it? Well, earlier, Aragorn had asked Ioreth to go and get him some athelas. The herb master has some bad timing, just as Aragorn has said all this. Thereupon, the herb master entered. "Your lordship asked for kingsfoil, as the rustics name it," he said, "or athelas in the noble tongue, or to those who know somewhat of the Valinorian." "I do so," said Aragorn, "and I care not whether you say now Asea Aranian or kingsfoil, so long as you have some." "Your pardon, lord," said the man. "I see you are a lore-master, not merely a captain of war. But alas, sir, we do not keep this thing in the Houses of Healing, where only the gravely hurt or sick are tended. For it has no virtue that we know of, save perhaps to sweeten a fouled air, or to drive away some passing heaviness. Unless, of course, you give heed to rhymes of old days, which women such as our good Ioreth still repeat without understanding. When the black breath blows, and death's shadow grows, and all lights pass, come athelas, life to the dying in the king's hand lying. It is but a doggerel, I fear, garbled in the memory of old wives. Its meaning I leave to your judgment, if indeed it has any. But old folks still use an infusion of the herb for headaches." All right. Now, in a way, this is another Gondorian rhyme of lore, in a way referring to the history or historical events of Gondor. We are never given an example of one of the Gondorian kings actually using athelas to heal anybody. But all those Gondorian kings, the long-lost kings, they're of the same lineage as Aragorn. So it's reasonable to believe that they did so, or at least could have done so. In which case, this verse is referencing something that couldn't have happened any more recently than 2050, when the last king, Earnur, was taken by the Witch King, and the line of stewards began. Now that was nearly 1,000 years ago, so it's no wonder the unfortunate herb master thinks this verse is a doggerel. And by the way, folks, doggerel just means comic verse composed in irregular rhythm, or, per the OED, an epithet applied to comic verse, usually of irregular rhythm, or to mean trivial, undignified verse. We're going to move from undignified to very dignified. We're going to move on to a song from Legolas. In the last debate, after telling their story of the paths of the dead, Legolas mentions the fact that they mounted again before night had passed, and went on with all the speed that our horses could endure over the plains of Lebennin. At that point, we get to the song. Legolas paused and sighed, and, turning his eyes southward, softly he sang, "Silver flow the streams from Kellas to Erwi in the green fields of Lebennin. Tall grows the grass there, in the wind from the sea the white lilies sway, and the golden bells are shaken of Malos and Alfirin, in the green fields of Lebennin, in the wind from the sea. Green are those fields in the songs of my people, but they were dark then, grey wastes in the blackness before us. And over the wide land, trampling unheeded the grass and the flowers, we hunted our foes through a day and a night, until we came at the bitter end to the great river at last. Then I thought in my heart that we drew near to the sea, for wide was the water in the darkness, and sea-birds innumerable cried on its shores. Alas for the wailing of the gulls! Did not the lady tell me to beware of them? And now I cannot forget them." Now, this gorgeous little verse gives us a bit of a picture of the land in the south of Gondor, specifically the region of Lebennin, which lies between the river Kellas, which then flows into the Sirith, and the river Erwi. Now, looking at the map, those are the two westernmost rivers that lead from the south side of the White Mountains down to the Anduin, the Sirith reaching it at Pelargir. But let's talk a little bit about the content of Legolas's song. We get mention of some of the flowers, the white lilies and the golden bells of Malos and Alpharin. Tolkien doesn't tell us anything about the Malos or the Alpharin at any other point, although he does use the word Alpharin in the story of Cirion and Eorl as another name for Cymbalmune. But is it? Now, Christopher Tolkien believes it's a different flower even if his father gave it the same name, and so too do Walter and Graham Judd, authors of Flora of Middle-earth, where they note that the Alpharin Cymbalmune has white star-like flowers that stand erect, while this Alpharin has nodding, bell-shaped golden yellow flowers. They then conclude, these descriptions are so different, however, that it seems unlikely that they can refer to the same plant, as noted both by Christopher Tolkien and Hammond and Scull. We agree and consider Alpharin, as described in Legolas's poem, to be a species distinct from Cymbalmune. Great, all those smart folks agree, but if it isn't that, what is it? Well, yet the question remains, Judd and Judd ask, what sort of plant is this Alpharin? They say, among the European wildflowers, the most likely possibility, in our opinion, is that it is a yellow-flowered species of fritillary. In other words, a member of the genus Fritillaria, a group of lily-like plants that arise from bulbs and occur commonly in open habitats in Europe. These plants have nodding, bell-like flowers, and they often grow in grass-dominated habitats, fitting the ecological setting of Legolas's poem, In Green Fields. That's not all, though. They take that detail another step forward, pointing out that Lebennin has the climate of southern Europe, and telling us about several bright yellow species that grow in Greece and Turkey, and that they perfectly fit the description and ecological setting provided in Legolas's poem. Well, folks, thank you for joining me for this week's Third Age Thursday. Be sure to come back tomorrow as we go back to the very beginning with First Age Fridays. Check out patreon.com/TolkienTimes to learn how you can support the show, get an ad-free feed, join my content council, get a bonus weekly episode, and a lot more. Podcast listeners, please be sure to subscribe to the show in your podcast apps. For those on YouTube, subscribe to this channel to get all of my PPP productions. And be sure that you're following @PrancingPonyPod on all your social media. Finally, as Faramir says, go with the goodwill of all good men.